And we're live. We're joined here today by Sabrina Dobron. Sabrina, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabrina. I'm a senior majoring in biomedical and mechanical engineering. I am the current family relations chair for HEAL. I've held some other positions, which I'm sure we'll get into later, but I'm really excited and thank you, Bobby and Morgan, for having me on today.
Thanks for coming on. We're so excited to finally have you on.
Yeah, so getting right into it. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. I know you mentioned your prior positions. Do you mind just kind of running us through your sophomore year through to now?
Sure. So, sophomore year, I was the admin chair, and then junior year, I was alternate an alt-funds chair, alternative fundraising. And basically, I'll start with sophomore year. As admin, my responsibilities were more of the finances for HEAL and just managing those. I was in charge of just making sure all members got reimbursed for anything they needed, whether that be from pie exec with all the whipped cream and the plates to pie everyone in the face or gifts for the tuckies. That was a really big one. And then also I had to manage all of our heel points, making sure all members just got all the points that they deserved and what they came out for. And then moving on to junior year for alt funds, which that was probably the hardest position that I have held. I love family relations too, but difficulty wise, yeah, alt funds definitely takes the cake. I was just responsible for it was me, myself, and Carmen and Brittany. So they were my two co-chairs, and we were the big fundraisers. We just set up all of the fundraisers downtown, a lot of the ribboning trips, and especially with the new restrictions that were in place with traveling. I know they're even worse now, but just adjusting to them, that was a huge, huge obstacle that we had to overcome. But those are a little bit of what I did in those positions. And then now, as family relations, I'm very excited that I have this role for this year. In the past, like I said, I've dealt with the finance side, I've dealt with the fundraising side, and I'm really grateful to have been able to take my senior year to just focus on the families and myself and Carson. We just make sure that the Tuckies and our new family, the Hesses, have everything they need, all the support they need from the org. And we also make sure that the org is up to date on what they're doing as well. It's a really, really rewarding position, and I get to see all of the hard work that everybody puts in, not just the FR chairs. And I get to see the impact that it has on the families, and it's really great.
Awesome. It's great to hear. You gave us the real rundown there. It's you're right. You have had like the cool opportunity to sort of see the administrative side and then the fundraising side, and I'm glad now you get to see the whole family side because that's really the reason we do everything, and it's so awesome to hear that you just get to hang out and get reap the rewards, I guess, right? You've planted the seeds the last 2 years, and now let's sit back and harvest those crops.
Yeah, definitely. That was the big reason why I decided to go out for FR too. I had to kind of sit back and assess everything and decide which position to go out for. And I, that's exactly how I kind of narrowed it down. I said, I've done this, and I really just, the whole reason we do Thon is for the families and for the kids. So I really just wanted to focus on that for my last year at Penn State and with you.
Awesome. Well, speaking about your years with Heal, unless Morgan wants to hop in, looked
No,
like
you're
you were
good.
gonna. Okay, I was gonna say, how did you get into Heal? How did we get so lucky as to find someone like you, Sabrina?
Oh, stop. All right, so my freshman year, it's kind of a funny story because I actually had no idea what a felon org was. I kind of accidentally joined every day and I started getting emails from them and I really didn't know what it was. I didn't go to any of their meetings. And then my roommate was supposed to take me to a Springfield meeting. I kept asking her when they were having them. She kind of was like iffy about it and really didn't know. So another HEAL member, Liz, she was on my floor freshman year. She was kind of like one of my first friends that I made on my floor and my first friends at Penn State that I didn't know from high school. She brought myself and Brett to a HEAL meeting, and I knew that was where I wanted to be. And it's funny because when I walked in, I actually saw at least three familiar faces from high school, and they were people that I actually knew too. It wasn't like people that I vaguely knew and like, oh, like yeah, I remember you. It was like Kaylin, I grew up with her. Like she lived right next door to my grandparents when we were little. So just being able to see her and getting even close with her throughout being in HEAL, it's been really great.
Okay, so I did not know. I guess I always assumed that you knew Liz before college. So, okay, who is like the group of you that all went to high school together? And then, because I know there's like a bunch of you that knew each other. But I know you just said it. Can you say it again? So,
Yeah,
who's
no, of
the
course.
people that went to? I always like get so confused.
No, so I'm from Bucks County, so I went to Council Rock South High School, and
Okay.
along with myself, it was Brandon, Kaylin, Katie, and Brett. And then
Okay.
Liz actually went to Central Bucks West, which is like the district right over from us. So when I played softball for a club team, I actually played for Warrington, which is in the Central Bucks district. So I knew a lot of people from Liz's high school and the surrounding schools in her district. So I didn't like know her personally, but we were able to like make that connection right away. And she knew a lot of people that I played softball with too.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because it's. I think it's so funny how many of you like kind of knew each other or like sort of knew each other, and have all like kind of found each other in Heal. It's a neat group of. I guess you guys are all seniors now, which that's crazy to say. I always thought of you as like the sophomores because that's how old you were when we got into Heal, when I was a freshman. But okay, that's really cool. And kind of how it's just become like I feel like Hale really is a family, and even after talking to like alumni a few weeks ago, sounds like it always has been. But I just find it so interesting how, and like neat how that kind of never went away. Like we still have that feeling to this day, and that's kind of how it started. And there was really no one person who like decided this is how it's going to be. It was just like a cultural thing that kind of got.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I completely agree. And if you told me like after I graduated senior year of high school, if you told me that I would be best friends with like the four people that I listed that went to my high school, I would have told you no way. Because I knew that coming here I was going to see some people from high school, but that was the big like joke at my school was that oh, it's Council Rock grade 13. You're going there with the other 40 people from your graduating class and you're just going to see them all the time. And from talking to people who graduated before me, they all said you have no worries. You're not really going to see many people unless you go out of your way to. And now I enjoy going out of my way to see them, and it's just truly been such an incredible experience getting closer with them and becoming better friends with them than I was in high school.
Yeah, and
yeah,
for anyone who doesn't know who they are, we should have some of them on here eventually, so they'll get to hear from them too. A little later down the road.
yeah. We're working our way down the list of the Google Doc, as I like to
Yeah,
say.
right.
Very
I'm
much.
glad you guys got so much interest. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's really exciting. At this rate, we won't even get through everyone by Christmas, I don't think, or by the holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, all that.
Wow.
So
we might have to
hopefully
step it up.
everyone still has interest. Maybe we'll have to start doing this multiple times a week. I don't know if that will happen. I think we're good with once a
We'll
week.
double it up, Morgan. We can do it. I
Yeah,
believe.
because everyone wants to listen to us once
Yeah.
a week.
I
You know,
can't even listen to us once a week, let alone twice.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, we kind of heard your heel experience. Can we hear a little bit about what dancing was like last year? Can you tell us like the process of becoming a dancer too in heel? Because I don't know if everyone even knows that, and then all the way through.
Sure. So I hope I don't leave out any of the little logistics, but I'll
No,
try
no,
my best
well,
to
yeah,
I'll
we'll
recall.
I'll correct you. Don't worry.
yeah,
Oh, thank you, Bobby.
I got you.
So
our resident Thon weekend chair.
Yeah.
really, basically becoming a dancer in heel is for heel in general and for thon it's one of the greatest honors you could have in the thon community. And the process that I had to go through, the way heel does it is you actually have to have experienced one thon before you apply to become a dancer, which I completely agree with this rule. I think we might have set this rule in place the after my freshman year. So going into my sophomore year, we put that rule in our constitution, and I really, really agree with it. Being at Thon, like hearing about Thon and actually being there, two completely different things. There's some things that you just can't believe it until you experience it, until you see it, and Thon is definitely one of those things. So I was really thinking about it my sophomore year because I had that one Thon in my pocket. I knew about it. I knew that that's something that I eventually wanted to do. but I was also skeptical if I was going to be able to endure it. I kind of confidence was a little low at that point. So my sophomore year, we got four dancers from the lottery, and the lottery, for anybody who doesn't know, is just basically whatever monetary total that you raised towards Dawn for the four diamonds the year before. That kind of gauges how many dancers you get for the next year. So we were lucky enough to get four, which is a great total for us. And so we also had these things called fundraising incentives, which this was when everything started getting restricted for traveling. They were really pushing fundraising over break and fundraising at home. And
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. This was the
no,
year
you're fine.
I'm thinking, so this was our freshman year, and we had started canvassing and ribboning, going to people's houses. And then I think like one trip got canceled. Like we were supposed to go,
Yeah.
or it was just a weekend that you could go, and they canceled it. And that was kind of the last time we saw it.
Yep.
Right.
Other than when you go home for break.
Yeah, because my freshman year, they still had one canning weekend. They used to do three, and they limited down to one for my freshman year. And then that was kind of their way of phasing it out. So then they switched over to no longer using canning at all. That terminology had to be completely retired. They called it ribboning. And then canvassing was still a thing, so we could still go door to door. But the whole issue with fundraising out of town was the travel part of it, because there were unfortunately some unfortunate events that caused us to have to put those restrictions into place. But we were still able to go. I believe we went for exec retreat, and then we tried to really push over break. And that was where the incentive came in. Was Don and the exec board really wanted people to start taking advantage of being home and being able to fundraise over break. So they said, if you raise X amount of dollars for every increment, you'll get a ticket into a lottery. And if you get pulled for that lottery, then you had the choice of three different prizes. One of them, I think, was like a pass for BJC. I don't remember exactly what it was, and then I can't remember the second, but the third was having two extra dancers, which
that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, it was absolutely huge. I don't even think we considered, when we found out we won, I don't even think we considered the other two options. We were like two dancers all the way.
Yeah,
But
it's
then
like $10, $20, or a block of solid gold. It's like, I wonder which one I'm gonna
exactly,
pick. Like,
exactly. And so when we decided that, then we had to put the whole thinking caps back on how we were going to pick those two dancers, if we were going to do more applications. So the way it had worked that year was we had four dancers, five heel members went out to become a dancer, and unfortunately that meant one couldn't get that original spot. But then with the two that we got in addition, she was immediately able to come back in and dance, and I'm very, very happy because she became one of my really close friends the next year. So I'm really glad that she got that opportunity.
yeah, you
And
and us
then
both.
right, and then
Yeah.
Brett so Shannon was the one that was one of the first people who got the extra dancer couple spot, and then Brett was the second one. And the way that worked was we let people reapply, and we were actually, as soon as we gave it to Shannon, like that was our no-brainer. But then the last position, we actually were having a tough time filling. It was a little later on in the Dawn year, I guess you can say, that we found this out. So it was very difficult decision for people whether they wanted to go out for it or not. I know a lot of people said to me, like, hey, why didn't you go out for this? Like, why didn't you want to do it? And I said, it's not that I don't want to do it, it's just now's not the right time. And I think that time is the biggest factor with being a dancer, because if you feel you're not ready mentally, you're already destroyed. And that's, I mean, in my personal opinion, because I know that I have a hard time mentally telling myself, yes, you can do this. So if I was going into it with the idea of, I don't know if you're ready yet, then I wasn't going to have a good time, and I wasn't going to enjoy it as much as I would. Maybe I would probably get through it because I would push myself as hard as I could, but I wouldn't have that experience that everybody really wishes for and wants when they apply to be a dancer. So
Yeah.
junior year, this is where everything kind of started coming together for me. I realized that I really wanted to be a dancer. I put in my application to dance and I gave my speech. So the speech is the second portion of the application. The first is your personal statement. It's just like a little blurb that gets sent out to the org, who you are, what you are in HEAL, and goes out to the families too. That's like the first process, first step of the process. And then after dancers are or nominees are narrowed down, then you have the dancers. Um, Sorry, not the dancers. After the nominees are narrowed down, then you have the prospective dancers, and those are there's some funky algorithm that tells us how many people. Bobby, correct me, you know it.
Oh man, it's n
Yeah,
minus 2 is the amount of speeches where n is equal to the number of dancing positions we have. So, or
that what
n times 2
n
minus
times
2.
-2. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
I think, or maybe it's +2. I think it's like if we had 4 dancers, you multiply it by 2, and then I think you add 2.
It might be plus 2. I don't know.
I think so. Like if we had 4 dancers, 10 people could speak. I
Correct.
think.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I'm an engineering major and I still can't figure that out, and it's been 4
Yeah,
years.
10
So
sounds better than 6.
And
So,
the square root, I don't know.
yeah, right.
Times 6 minus 4.
Someone
yeah,
wrote
so
the math one
basically,
one year and we still use it cuz it works. So,
Yeah.
hasn't failed us yet.
yeah.
Yes. So basically, on that, with that equation, we pick how many people get to give a speech, and of that, then the org gets to vote, and that's how the dancers are figured out. And the families also get to vote, and of course, they are the most important thing in related to Thon and for HEAL, so their votes count as double. But that's basically the process of becoming a dancer, and yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Um, I think it's like the whole process your sophomore year when we were like, okay, now we're up from 4 to 6 dancers. Um, I can appreciate like the thought process of thinking like, am I ready? I think that's like a super important one, and I'm sure you would have done a great job even if you danced as a sophomore. But I think it's like something neat that you were able to like kind of look inside yourself and be like, is this my time to do this, or do I feel like a different time would be better? And I do like I don't know. I just think that's I don't know what the right word would be, but I think that's just a neat thing that you were able to kind of just like think about that in like a very like matter of fact, like mature way, and to just think about. I think a lot of people think about dancing. And I'm not saying this is in HEAL's position, but in some cases, like I've heard people say like, well, I don't really like being in the stand, so I want to dance on weekend. And you're like, well, that's not really like a reason to dance, like I understand you don't like the stands, but that I don't know, like just mentally I feel like that's a tough thing for me to hear, to be like, that's why you want to dance, huh? Okay, like I get it, and maybe there's other reasons and you're not sharing them right now, but just like knowing that there was a reason why you wanted to be there, and mentally just knowing that you wanted to be like in a certain place to feel like you could really get the most out of it, is something cool. And I think it's a good tribute to like your character and kind of how you are as a person. So
Thank you.
and I think that you were more than ready your junior year, and I'm so happy that you were able to represent HEAL last year. And I hope that we have as good of a thon as possible this year, and you get to enjoy your senior year too. I feel, I feel, I mean, I feel for all of us because it's really all of our thons. But I know senior year thon is like very special, but it doesn't have to be your last one. You can always
Come
come
back.
back
We're a
to it.
family.
So
I would
I don't know.
love to come back.
Yeah. So and please
Yeah,
do.
that's the thing. When they announced how Thon was going to be virtual this year, I obviously was a little disappointed, but I didn't even immediately think, oh, that's my senior year Thon gone. I just thought to all the people that I know that were hoping to dance this year and really wanted that opportunity, what that's going to look like for them. So I really hope that the exec board can string something together to make it the best possible experience, because it really is the best weekend of the spring semester. It's what we all kind of look forward to all year.
We'll figure something out. But as Morgan kind of pointed out, I really want to just jump back to how 2 years ago we did have it was kind of weird, right? Because it was like end of January, early February, and we're sitting on a dancer slot that we can't fill.
with Dawn
And
a
yeah,
few
with
weeks
with Dawn
away.
like 2 or 3 weeks away. And
Not
Yeah.
to mention as a dancer, you have to like mentally prepare yourself.
but
As
also
you're
physically, you're
yeah,
standing for 46 hours, right? Like you have to
you're
be
like
able to physically do that. So I think it's just a real, testimony, I guess, to the character of the people in Heel, that there was an open slot and you didn't see 500 people jump on it because they could. And it got filled because everyone took the time to look at it and think, why, like, should I do this? Why should I do it? And when they really took the time to just weigh the options, I guess is what I'm trying to say as I stutter here. But I don't know. It's something that makes me proud to be a part of this organization because it shows that, um, we're all kind of in this for the right reasons. We're not clout chasing to dance, which I don't think anyone does really, but maybe people do. And if you do and you dance and you represent, an org or a family, and you do a great job, then awesome. Like, congratulations. I'm still proud of you. But it just shows how seriously we take this, and that when we put someone on the floor to dance, like we put everything behind them, and they put their whole everything is there with them. So that's awesome to hear. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just like talking about that.
No, I agree with you definitely. And honestly, I don't think there was a better person to fill that spot than Brett, because he had interest in dancing our freshman year, and I know that he was coming from the right spot when because it took him a while to decide, and he really considered all factors, and he's always in great shape too. So he was ready physically, and he
Yeah.
knew that. That was I mentioned that mentally was unsure if I could do it, and I think that I got in my own head because of my physical condition at that point, and I was like, I don't know if I could do it physically. I'm not exactly where I want to be, because, like you said, Bobby, it's a lot of preparation. You have to make sure you're in good shape. You have to like your change a lot of your habits. I know that, I mean, I turned 21 and I couldn't enjoy I had my celebration for my birthday, but I really couldn't enjoy all of the perks that comes with turning 21 after, because I was like immediately snapped into thon mode, and I was like, okay, you have to get yourself in shape. You're going, this is it. It's crunch time now. You're 5 weeks away. I think it was less than 5 weeks away at that point.
No, definitely. And you hear that a lot. You hear a lot of horror stories too of like people who don't, and then they get there and like the first 12 hours they're like, "Oh, this is awesome." And then they really just hit that wall cuz they weren't ready for it.
Oh yeah, that
But
crash comes real fast, real heavy.
yep. So it's all about getting yourself physically and mentally prepared and doing like the most you can. Because again, as I said, everyone in Heal takes this really seriously, and same with all the other orgs. We all take this really seriously. Um, so I mean, caffeine gets cut in like early January. Alcohol gets cut usually. Oh, good muted sneeze there, Morgan.
thank you.
That was absolute pro. That's why she's my favorite. All right. Either way, um, but what was I saying? Yeah, caffeine gets cut, alcohol gets cut, and early like we're cutting everything. You're eating like lean protein and like you're hitting all your like
Gimmicks
dietary
again.
yeah, all your dietary macros for like the entire start of the year, just so that like this 46 hours you can go all out, and then you sleep for what, like 18 after it.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
about around that. I passed out in the car. I felt bad because my mom was the one to get me from multi-sport when I was finished, and like I was just so cranky, and she knew that too. She was like being so good about it, but my legs were in such pain that she started like walking ahead of me, and like my mom and I walked together all the time. Like when I was home during quarantine, we would just walk around our block, and like I'm generally always faster than her. She's like telling me to slow down, but at this point, she was like, it felt like she was a mile ahead of me. And I was like, Mom, you need to stop. I cannot keep up. And I was so cranky. And then I just right out as soon as I got in the car in the back.
That's awesome.
Did
I
you eat once you got home, or were you just like straight to bed?
I I don't think I did eat. I might have. I don't remember, honestly. I know I had mentioned to my parents ahead of time to try to make me eat, because I've heard people who come home and don't eat, and then they wake up and they actually feel so sick because they're so hungry.
Yeah.
But I was actually like, food was one of my biggest struggles throughout the entire 46 hours. And I kind of had a feeling it was going to be, but I didn't really want to believe it because every thon I always lose my appetite. Even when I'm like, when I was in the stands, I really wouldn't eat that much. I'd be there for like, think I was there for the last like 25, 24 hours of both my freshman year and my sophomore year. And I think I ate maybe like a granola bar and an Uncrustable the entire time because like my stomach felt so sick.
Yeah, I think sometimes just like the sleep deprivation makes people's like stomachs kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, when I was down on the floor, I think Bobby, you might have actually been visiting at that point, but I like stopped eating the dancer meals. I just couldn't do it. I was really trying my best to have like a couple bites because Bobby and like all the heel people who were down were encouraging me to do that because they knew it was what was best
Please
for me.
eat,
My
Sabrina,
DRCMs
please.
were doing the same. Yeah, really, that's honestly what it was like.
Eat the food.
I couldn't do it. There was a point, I don't know how much time I had left, but I knew we were nearing the final four, which is why it made me so upset. I was in the bathroom like dry heaving. I was like squatting over the toilet dry heaving because I was so sick. But I told myself, you got to pull your ish together.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go to the nurse's station and they gave me like 7-Up and some crackers, and that's pretty much all I had for the rest of
And I'm
college.
pretty sure I was down there. It was, I want to say it was 8 hours from the end. So you were 4 hours from Final Four when that was happening.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, it was a rough shape. It wasn't bad. You guys were all fine, but it was, you could tell you'd all been up for a little while. Ethan was dancing and he was kind of like in his own little world. I let him borrow some eye drops that I had on me just because his eyes were really red. And he was like, "I'll give these back to you on Monday. Thanks so much." I still have not received those eye drops, which is fine. He probably doesn't even know he has them.
I think like it's a thing too. Like dancers will black out for a
Oh,
little while.
for sure. There's
He probably has no idea. He probably looked at the eye drops and was like, "When did I?"
He's like, "What nurse gave me these?"
Yeah, I don't remember.
Gotcha, buddy. Don't worry. Liz was like crying when I came down because she was happy to see me, and I was like, "All right." Like, so it's always fun. It's kind of scary, but fun to come down towards the end and help you guys get through those.
I remember like looking around at all of you when you're all kind of like in your own shape, you know, like all, like you're all your own like different land. You're all in your Crocs and like shuffling around, kind of. You're like, okay, it's time to stretch, and you guys just like put your arms out. I remember you were like, okay, let's stretch. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And you just look around, and everyone's just kind of like in their own place. And you're like, okay, it's okay. We just have to make it a couple more hours until Final Four. You've got this. But just like those last hours, and I mean, that's every dancer-a-thon weekend, especially nearing the end. But it is like a little funny if you like take a step back.
Yeah, I wish I could have saw it from your guys' perspectives at some point because I'm sure it really was pretty entertaining. But one thing about all 5 of us, so we were really, really bonded together, I feel like, for majority of the time. I don't know if you guys like thought this too from the stands and everything, or when like coming down to visit us, but I know I had a few of my moments where we all did. We all had a few of our moments where we kind of just wanted to like do our own thing, especially like when my parents came down. I just wanted to be with them. But when nobody was down, we were all together for the most part. And I know Brandon, Liz, and myself, we shared DRCMs. So we spent a good time together, and like all of the co-dancers were absolutely incredible. I would not have wanted to dance with anybody else, but I have to give a special shout out to Brandon because he was so just in the zone. He was there for majority of the time, and even if he was struggling a little bit, he never made it show to the other dancers. So like he was one of those, he was like the rock for us, I feel, at least. And I think Liz and I were talking about it too. Like he was just in a really good mindset for most of the time. So he helped a lot helping carry us through.
I remember something that was really cute was like whenever you would ask one of you guys like how you were doing, you know, like you guys would tell us like, oh, I think I need this or whatever. And then you guys would all go on to tell us like how everyone else was doing, which was really sweet because like we would ask like, how are you doing? And you would tell us like a little bit, and then you'd be like, oh, and so's over there, like their family's down right now, so like they're kind of just hanging out, and like this person's doing okay, like she was crying a little while ago but she's good now. And it was just really sweet that you guys like gave us like the summary or wanted to tell us about like how everyone else was doing too, and you were not just focused on yourself. I mean, obviously you hit lows and you're really just focusing on like staying awake or staying standing at that period of time, but you all did a really good job of just like checking in, and it was cute that you could all like report back on how everyone else was doing too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are all in it together, and we all cross that finish line at the same time. So we all want to make sure we all make it there.
Yeah.
Definitely. No one dances alone.
Exactly.
Do you have a moment from dancing that was like top 5 best moments, or like do you have like a top 5 or a top 3 or whatever it may be?
That one's tough because the whole weekend, aside from my stomach issues, um, the whole weekend was really just incredible. And I think one of the moments that I'm never going to forget was I don't know when it was. So, okay, I will forget when it was, but
You probably didn't know at the time either.
yeah, probably
Maybe we
not.
could fill in some gaps then. Let's see.
It might have been, it had to have been close to Final Four because we were all like super emotional. And Becca hugged me and she just whispered in my ear, "Thank you for doing this for me." And like that just, it made my heart so happy just to hear that we were making a difference in her life and her family's life. And I remember another reason I won't forget this was because of my response, because we always think like, oh, this is our thon child. Every org kind of has their own. So I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do it for anybody else. And then I paused and I was like, wait, I would, but I'm glad I get to do it for you.
It's one of those things you say when you're tired, right? And you're like, oh, wait, no, I shouldn't have said that.
Pretty much.
I
That's
get
funny.
it.
I know you would.
Oh,
That's
wait.
awesome.
Yeah, I would.
But yeah, that had to have been probably one of my top moments. All the other ones follow close behind, just seeing my parents, seeing Colin and everything, but that had to have been up there as my top.
Awesome.
Do you feel like when your parents came down or Colin came down, it was like a spirit lift for you, like every time?
Yeah, absolutely. I was waiting. My parents came down pretty early, which was good because like I was still kind of with it when they were down. I remember my biggest thing when they came down was my feet were starting to hurt and I didn't want to change my shoes. So they were just really good about walking around with me, and I'm very surprised because they were a lot better than I thought they would be. Like obviously your parents are your support system no matter what, like not just through thon but through like all of life, but they were really in like good thon mode for me, which I really appreciated. And then I remember Colin hadn't been down in a while and I was starting to like really want to see him and I was like making myself upset. What I didn't realize was that he worked and he worked the entire night. I guess it was I think Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And I was wondering like why I didn't see him, but he didn't want to tell me that he worked because he knew that I would start worrying about him and he didn't want me to do that. So when he finally came down, I think it was 10 a.m. Sunday. He was the last person I got to see before Final Four. So I really needed that. That was a really good pick me up. I knew the time for most of it too. I'm sure you guys are like, how the heck did she know?
No, I mean, I knew that it was 10 a.m. because I set the pass for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
I knew the
a late night.
time since 10 a.m. Saturday morning, I think. So what happened was ahead of time, one of my GRCMs when we were meeting with them, she accidentally slipped on what time hair donation was. But at the end of the day, nothing really clicked and it didn't really matter because I had thought it was maybe between 2 and 5 a.m. Saturday morning. And I was in like the back in the annex and I was walking and I actually saw Faith. She's another HEAL member. And she was getting ready to go up on stage to donate her hair. And I like said hi to her and then I walked away back to where our whole group was. And then it probably took 30 minutes before it all clicked. And I was like, wait a minute, hair donation, like it's that late. So that really helped me in hindsight. And then from that moment on, I just kind of kept checking. I didn't really care at that point.
Yeah. It just really
Yeah, I
depends on your mindset and like what you need to do. Because I feel like if I were to ever do it, like I'd struggle not knowing what time it is. Because I just like to know what time it is. I get like it would just bug me to not know.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I don't think Ethan changed
yeah.
his.
Ethan knew the whole time. Um, which I think can make it easier and harder because like your concept of what even an hour is, I feel like can get so skewed. But I could see how you could be like, I think it's been 3 hours, and then finding out it's only been an hour could be devastating. Or only thinking it's been an hour and it being 3 or 4 hours, being like, oh, like that was awesome. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even realize. I think it just depends on the person, I guess, and how like your mindset is on that. Like, will you be devastated if you find out
Yeah,
that
definitely.
you think? Yeah. I always like every year I think about this at the end of Thon. I guess it's only been two Thons, but I always think like in a way you're like kind of counting down the hours to like Final Four because it means that you're getting closer to getting to sit, but at the same time like this is the year we waited or this is the time of year we waited for so long and like we're so excited about, and I don't want to like wish it away. So it's just like always such a struggle of like wanting to get to Final Four because of all the neat things that happen at Final Four and very like sentimental moments, and also the dance party at the end and all of that. Um, but also like not wanting it to be over. Just I don't know. It's like, and it's a struggle because as the weekend wears on, your body gets more tired, your mind gets more tired, and you're telling yourself like, no, like hold on to it, but at the same time, you're ready to go to sleep.
Ready for your 18-hour nap?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's just always a struggle mentally, and I don't know. Like, did you experience that as a dancer? Um, I feel like you get to soak it in even more though as a dancer to a certain extent because you are there the whole time. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that is actually one of the things when they were doing like interviews at the meeting beforehand. That was one of the things I was most excited for was not missing anything because I know the year before I was lucky enough to like come back in right when Andy Grammer was performing, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like if I was an hour later, I would have missed this, and
Yeah.
so I was really excited to be able to just be there for everything. But I actually found myself not wanting to see it all, which kind of sounds weird, but there were times where like I don't even think I went out for pep rally. I didn't watch any of it. It was too loud for me, and we just kind of all hung in the back, played some games. Our GR Sams were really good about keeping us all together. I think we all mostly had the same consensus when it came to pep rally of what we wanted to do. But the one thing with dancing is obviously your time gets distorted, but it gets distorted in like different ways at different moments. So like when your feet hurt, it feels like time's going so slow. But once we got to Final Four, it flew by. The difference between how fast Final Four went on the floor versus in the stands is absolutely insane. Like I know in the stands, one of the hardest parts is standing there and having all the families walk across the stage and be recognized. And that obviously is something that we all look forward to that because we want to cheer for our families. And then once our families are gone, like we're obviously still happy the other families go across, but we're like, okay, like we saw our families, that's it. And I know the Tuckies were one of the first ones in the years prior. So it was kind of like we were just kind of standing around and we couldn't even clap because they wanted you to hold all your applause to the end. So it was just a really big open space in that hour. But when we were on the floor, we were actually able to go to the back and go through the line of families and find the Tuckies and find the Hesses
Oh
and
wow.
talk to them. And we got some pictures with them, which kind of kept our mind off of things. And so being able to kind of spend the time with them as opposed to just sitting there waiting for them to cross the stage, that really made time fly by so quick. And everything else from there, like the family hour with the videos, they always feel so much longer in the stands. And when I was down on the floor, I was like, oh, it's over already. Like, I feel like we didn't even see half the Thon children. So, yeah, time definitely gets distorted a lot in many, many different ways.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. And just your body has to be so confused when it hasn't seen daylight in so long as well. Um, did it happen to you guys? Who was it that you accidentally saw outside because like doors got opened and like the screens weren't? Okay, it must not have been.
I think it was
I don't know if it was.
that was 2019.
Was
Yeah, I
it?
didn't think it was
I
our
think it
year.
was Kylie Whitehead that had that
Yeah,
happen
because
too. Or-
the doors got opened to like take out the garbage or something, and I think it's tough to see like if you weren't expecting it to be light out and now it's light out, it's tough. Or your mind's like, oh my gosh, is it the day before or is it the next morning?
yeah,
You know?
it just unnecessarily messes with your mind.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does it on purpose, but
No,
in 48 hours, it happens.
mistakes happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, most of us knew the time, nearing Final Four and everything. But I remember, because you mentioned Kylie, one thing that she was telling me was how she actually went to the nurses station, and she like knew a lot of them because she was a nursing major, and she was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna guess what time it is, but like, don't tell me if I get it right or not." And she guessed, and they were like, "Oh my God, what? Like, how'd you know that?" And she was like, "I told you not to tell me," but she got it right. So I don't know if it was good for her in the end or bad, but even though if she didn't have a sense of time, she had a sense of time in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember her saying that she like knew what time it was, and she said it to I think me and Carmen too, and we were like, "Huh, okay, well you weren't really bad off." We didn't say anything. We were just like, "Uh huh," like
Yeah.
okay, that's what you think. But I remember thinking that too, being like, "Oh, that was really impressive." Um, yeah, I think I don't know if Shannon remembered it too, but I know Garrett was looking up the times. He's like, yeah, sometimes that when I go to the bathroom, I'll just Google what time is it in in like New York or whatever, because I guess that's like one of the time zones.
New York. It's the same time as here.
I know, but like people will look like when you look it up, like it's easy to look up, like because you know, have you ever
I
been
know what you
somewhere
mean.
and they have the clock and it says what time it is in like London?
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you a hard
So you
time,
can
Morgan.
easily look it up, Bobby.
So,
So yeah, he was looking it up anyway, and he was like trying not to tell us that he knew. He's like, "Don't tell anyone that I know," and we're like, "It doesn't matter if you
yeah,
know
no
or
one
not.
cares.
We're not going to get you in trouble. It's for your own sake for you not to know." But he was like, "Don't tell anyone that I looked it up." I'm like, "Okay, I won't."
So, Sabrina, I guess the question I have for you is is there anything, like any advice you could give for the weekend as a dancer? What was like your one thing that helped you get through the week or through the weekend, not week? Yikes! Imagine if it was a week. Oof,
Oh my god.
people would die.
That's a tough one. Let me take a second.
You're good. Take your time.
So, one of the things that honestly is probably everybody's top piece of advice is just to really soak in every single moment. It does go by a lot quicker than you would think. Um, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. That weekend, first and foremost, obviously, it's about the families, but then you're like the main event if you're a dancer, and you need to take everything into account. If you need something, you need to go get the help because you're going to end up hurting yourself if you don't. And honestly, like the best mindset to have is that you can do it. That was probably something that willed me through the entire weekend. When I got low at times, we were lucky enough to have our families down with us this year. I know in the past there's been some medical like outbreaks, disease outbreaks in State College, Center County. So that kept the Tuckies from visiting one year. I think it was measles.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So having them down with us was huge. Just being able to look at them and say, I'm doing this for you. Like looking at Becca and hearing her whisper in my ear, like, thank you for doing this for me. That's what kept me going. And the same thing now with Kim and her whole family is just being able to see that when she was a child or a teenager, she had to go through this as well. And that our hard work and all of our efforts and all of the efforts of all the medical professionals at Hershey, they helped her to create this life for herself and have such a beautiful family. And that's what that's our main goal. So take your why and let it propel you through the entire weekend, because that's the whole reason you're doing it in the first place.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
That's some really good wisdom. We're coming up on time, so that's some pretty good wisdom to end with. We're gonna start hitting you with some of those favorite questions we ask everyone. Sabrina, who would you like to see on the next episode of the HEALcast? Or
Right, we're
a
not
future?
guaranteeing the next. Yeah, the future, because we can't guarantee the next.
Yeah,
Future.
it's not the next one, but
Who
you
have
want to
you
see
guys
me,
had
right?
so far? I want to hear a couple names you've had,
So we
because I'm
had
saving them. Bobby, don't give me that look. I am saving them for when I go for my long walks, and I've been very busy, so there's a few I have not listened to.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Hey, that is okay. You know what? The time gets the best of us. And I can't even say that I've listened to all of these. So,
I don't listen to any of them. Are you kidding me?
so
You
I
listen
ed-
them, it's
I
different.
edit them. I don't even listen to them.
yeah,
Just
no.
kidding. I do.
What was I gonna say? We had Maggie on. At the beginning, we had Carmen
Carmen,
on.
Matt
We
Giuliano,
had Matt Giuliano. We had Kim. Sorry, not Kim. We had Kate on.
Kate,
Tucker
and
Becca.
Kate and Becca,
Okay,
Had Danielle
and
and
Nico.
Nico, who
those
were
are the Heal
from
founders,
Heal.
right?
Yep. And
Okay.
then we had
Sam
Sam
Smeal.
Smeal and
You.
Sabrina.
All right. So, well, Matt Giuliano is one of my top ones, so I guess I can't pick him. I would probably, I would have to say Kim, because ever since when I joined, Kim was president, and she, right? One, two. Yeah, when I joined, Kim was president, and she was one of the reasons, just having her be so friendly and so welcoming to me, one of the reasons I definitely wanted to stick around. And then I got to know her more. Turns out she lives 5 minutes down the road from my house. Who knew?
Yeah.
But I just got to know her story and her involvement with Heal, and I think she would have some really good advice to share. And just like I said, her story is a very unique one, especially with her road to becoming president. So I think she would be a really, really good guest.
And just for clarification, that's Kim Kramer, not Kim
Kimberly had.
Oh
Hess.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Kim Kramer.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, and we are working on having Kimberly and family on as well. I don't know when that will be. I know Caroline just started school, so she's probably a little bit busy with that. But in the moving forward, we'll have them on as well. And then the other question is, we've been kind of making predictions of what's going to be in the Thon 2020 line dance. So sorry, Thon 2021. Do you have any predictions of things that will be included in the line dance?
Well, besides the one thing that shut down our entire country.
Yeah.
Well, that's a gimme.
Yeah, you gotta give that one. Oh, it's so hard because the way Thon does it, they go by Thon year, right?
Yeah, which means it literally Thon year began again, like what, the Monday after Thon ended, and it wasn't that long before we were home from
It's
school.
2 weeks from then.
Yeah,
Right. So
we
it's
were home for the longest spring break of everyone's lives.
True.
so it's just everything that's happened during quarantine.
Correct.
Yeah, which
God,
means
that's
there
so
wasn't a lot
hard.
going on with school. Yeah, there's no like football games to reference right now.
Well, there's got to be something in there about the presidential elections.
Of course.
I feel like that's my one thing that I can confidently say will be in there.
Yes.
Matt mentioned that it's always in the election year. I don't think any of us have been at school for an election year yet though.
No, not yet.
Matt
Oh, yeah.
Giuliano was.
Yeah.
So
But
that'll probably be in there.
4 years, you would be there for one election year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure the Black Lives Matter movement will probably be mentioned at some point. What else?
I gotta check my list. I've been updating.
We
Oh,
said
you keep a little tally.
Yeah.
I said something I expect to be in there is Tiger King. Because
Oh
everyone
yeah, that was
likes-
okay.
Wait, side note, Sabrina, I know like you like organization, all things like that. Have you ever seen The Home Edit, the book? It's called The Home Edit. It's
I
like
have not.
Okay, so I actually like thought to myself, like, I bet you Sabrina would like this, because I know like you like things like in order and just like having
Yeah.
around you in order. Okay, so it's this book that these two women also have. I think it's two women also have a company. So basically, like, they'll come into your house and they'll like organize, like, have you ever seen someone come in, like a company come in and like organize someone's just like walk-in pantry, and it's like
Oh
all like
yeah.
containers and stuff. So they have a book about like how to do it yourself, but they also have a company, and now they have a Netflix show where they show them going into people's houses and like turning it into like this like very nicely organized. And I was like, I think I know someone who would like this, because it's
You
like
know
it
me
just
too well.
it sounds so soothing to watch. You know what I mean? Just to see them like take all the things and make them look pretty. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching.
I've seen so on my TikTok is now like literally all DIYs. It's like crafts and recipes and everything. That is what my feed looks like. And so I would have those videos of people going into their pantry and putting everything in a container, labeling the container, having it
Yeah,
completely across.
that's
And
like
I'm
what
like,
women
this
do.
is how, yeah, oh, I would love that. Because that's how I know that I'm getting older, is because like when that actually is like satisfying. And
Yeah.
I'm nervous. Do you guys know what a cricket is?
Mm,
Yeah,
it's
you
a
get one.
small animal.
No.
So it
So
makes like boards and stuff and like invitations and
That
yeah,
too.
it's like a vinyl printer.
Cool.
yeah.
So you can use it to like customize things. And I've been debating, it's like on the more pricey side. So I've been debating over the past couple years if I want to get one or not. And my biggest con for getting one is I know that I'm going to over personalize everything. And I'm going to be like that annoying person. And then like fast forward 10, 15 years, I'm going to be like that annoying mom that like labels everything.
Their kid,
So
like every piece of their kid's stuff is gonna have a label on
yeah.
it.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm holding off now. I'm still debating whether I want to get one or not.
One of my really good friends from home, her sister got married. Well, she was supposed to get married in July, and she pushed it a little bit, but she did like a small wedding with just family because of Corona and everything. And before Corona and all this, she had made all of her wedding invitations on her Cricut. Like she did it
Oh
all,
wow.
and it's like, I'll have to send you a picture. She did like beautiful like cutout design. And they came out really nice. And I think she ended up saving a lot of money off on it. She bought them initially. She bought the Cricut initially just to do invitations, and she did a lot of stuff for her wedding that way. And she's like, I ended up saving so much money because people charge a lot just to make you like an invitation. So if you can like, if you have some kind of excuse, it's like something where it can like save you money, and then you just happen to have the Cricut to do everything else, that would be like the way to go, because now she just like uses it all the time, and loves it. So
There you go.
I'm for it. I know they're expensive, but like think about like the long run. You can save
Yeah,
money.
yeah. I'm with
Money.
you. I agree. You're really twisting my arm here. I think
You
I
can
might have
label
to.
all of our heel stuff for us. All right, I got my list back up. I think we talked about this list with Kate and Becca. There are only 2 new additions I have made to it since then, and that would actually I don't even know if one of them was a new. Either way, the Taco Bell Vigil, I think, will be in the line
Okay.
dance
Oh, yeah, okay. Under
because
like
they
Penn State news, the new
yeah.
Yala
Was that
downtown, they'll
after
probably like
Thon?
coincide.
It wasn't in the last Thon line dance. I don't know if it was or if I don't know. I think it's gonna be in there. I have a good feeling it will be. Um, it's a big deal. We lost Taco Bell on College Ave, but we did get Yala, so
I
you
haven't had
take and you
Yala
give.
yet.
Me
I've
either.
never had it either. I hear it's good though. My roommate had it the other day, and there was like French fries in the burrito, so I'm down with that.
Huh. We'll have
Interesting.
to go one day.
And then my other one, which this is new this year, so I think it'll be in there under Thon news. This is the first year that Thon is allowing Twitch fundraising or streamer fundraising. So
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll
that's a good
probably be in
one.
I think that'll be in there. Boom.
Oh,
Look at that. I got it.
Dream Forward might be in it again because they're deciding to do it a second time, which I feel like is not very common. I don't think like they had the 1 day campaign, but they didn't. Did they do that again? No, because they changed it to Dream Forward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just because Dream Forward was so successful,
Yeah.
um, it raised a lot of money.
I
Dream
think it
Forward.
raised what? Almost over half a million?
That's the
Yeah,
yeah. I think
that
that
was
was
the
the
goal.
goal, but I think they broke the goal.
I think they got like maybe 700,000.
Something around that. Yeah.
Either way. All right,
I
I
think
digress.
I think the reason that was so good, was because we were like calling call a donor phone-a-thon. And sorry, I'm just quoting the line dance here. So I think because like it reminded people about Thon. That was like kind of the idea of it. And I actually tend to think it worked. Like just to like remind people what Thon is, and it doesn't hurt to kind of just throw your feelers out there for like different companies and stuff. It even gives you the opportunity to do like corporate sponsors and stuff like that if you start early enough in the year.
Definitely.
And all that. Anything else? Gonna be? Sorry.
I was gonna say it's gonna be hard with. No, you're good. With like sports, because they always have a section for like they'll have Penn State news in one stanza, like one section, and then in one stanza they'll have all sports, and like that's so up in the air right now. Like obviously, I'm sure we'll still have sports at some point, but it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what they put in there.
There'll be a lot more stuff about like soccer and stuff that's happening. Europe's not as shut down as we are right now anymore, so they probably have some stuff going.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff is like even Penn State news. Like remember, it's like they went. I think it was our freshman year, your sophomore year, Sabrina. They went through like football. What bowl were we in?
Was it the Cotton Bowl?
That was last year.
Rose Bowl.
No, wait, yeah.
It was the Rose Bowl.
Freshman year was Rose Bowl. You're right.
Were we in the Rose Bowl? I thought it was the Orange Bowl. I don't know why.
Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl was no, that was last year.
That was.
No, we were in the Cotton Bowl last year. I thought.
Cotton Bowl last year. The year before that was the Citrus Bowl, and then the year
And then-
before that was the Rose
okay.
Bowl, and the year before
Okay.
that was the Tax Slayer Bowl. That's as far back as I remember.
Yeah, and I think it was like Citrus Bowl with Mickey Mouse, and then they go
Yep.
on like to volleyball, football, talking about Saquon, but like we don't have any of that to quote unquote recap because all the sports basically after Thon got canceled, so there's nothing to report, and I feel like they're gonna have to try. I'm sure in the back of their minds they're trying not to make it too negative because what's it gonna be like? This got canceled. This got canceled. This got
really.
Yeah.
This didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Downer on the moon.
We're all in our house. Here's a reminder of what 2020 was like. I mean, I feel bad for those people.
They'll make it fun, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll have KJ getting signed because that happened after.
True. All right.
Yeah, it's a crazy year.
And with that, Sabrina, anything else to add when your hour of fame's coming to an end here? Any other comments, concerns, questions?
Not really. I don't think I have anything, but I just want to thank you guys again for having me on, and super big thank you for starting this podcast. I think seeing as you've had so many people on it, which I will watch, I promise.
Eventually.
Eventually, I will get there. Promise that to you. But yeah, just starting this was a really, really great idea. Really good way to keep everybody connected through the current state of the world. And honestly, even after everything goes back in person, I hope you still keep this. Great way to keep alumni involved, our families up to date. I really love the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be too long until you are one of those alumni. So
Don't remind her.
Let me cry. I was honestly thinking about that the other day. I was sitting there and I was, what's it gonna be like my last heel picnic if we even get to have that at the end of the year? It's like I don't want to say goodbye. Like I'm not getting upset yet, but I know that like thinking about it, I will be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard too because there's some things when they get like taken away or changed, you're like, okay, I can deal with that one. And then there's some things that it's just like, like the things that are just the ones like hearing about Thon was really hard. There were some other things that I was like, okay, I guess that one's okay, but like there's just things that definitely hit everyone. Where you get like almost more mad, just like
I still don't want to drive by Beaver Stadium. I avoid it.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Hey, this is the life we're living. We'll get through it together.
Yeah. Well, not trying to end on a sad note.
No.
Thank you
Never.
so much, Sabrina, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I hope we can have you on again sometime
soon
in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys.
Yep. Thanks for coming, Sabrina. And thanks to all our listeners for hanging out with us for an hour this week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on dancing.